Hi everybody. It's been a while, and the reason is that my interest in chess and my motivation is very low. You could say that I've hit a low mark. This following game was played about a month ago. It was a 3-minute blitz game against Fritz 11, and I managed to draw this game in a pretty nice way. I was black, and the opening was the Queen's Gambit declined, and the reason it's called decline is that black doesn't take the c4 pawn. Obviously, when you look at that move, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, it looks like the pawn on c4 is hanging, but of course that's all part of theory. And this is all a standard book, I suppose. And sometimes, of course, when the bishop is on, like in this position, on d3, and black can choose to take, and when it takes back, for example, with the bishop, now of course there's a knight on d2, but in some cases when white plays bishop d3, black takes, and when white takes back, then b5. It sort of gains time when black, and then of course white goes back to d3, and you know, well, black can also push a6 and then c5, so it's a nice idea. I suppose this is still all opening theory. Of course, the move b6 has to do with the fact that this bishop over here doesn't really have anywhere to go, so b6 makes sense because black wants to put the bishop on b7, and now takes, and I believe that this is well, okay, it's still part of opening theory, I believe. I took it back with the knight. Of course, maybe it is possible to take with the pawn as well, but then, well, maybe I was actually, if I remember correctly, I was even considering to take with the pawn, so that I'd have two connected pass pawns, so to speak, in the center. But of course, I would have a c pawn and a d pawn. I took back with the knight because the knight puts some pressure on this bishop over here, and I can also choose to trade. He played bishop e2. I'm not sure if that's the best move. Maybe something like bishop to b1, perhaps some later, I think checkmate over here, or you know, anything. But bishop e2 makes some sense as well, because if I had ever play a move like bishop g4, then this knight is sort of tied up to the defense of the other knight. That's sort of a disadvantage with the knights, because one knight can protect the other, and if one of them ever moves, then of course the other one doesn't have any protection except for, okay, in this example it would be only the pawn on g2. Anyway, I play bishop b7, back, okay, knight d4, maybe that is with the knight over here on f5. I'll play knight f to e4, takes, bishop takes, queen takes, b4, and here again just give up a pawn. I mean, there's no other good square, maybe e6 or something like that, but I didn't mind giving up the pawn because now my bishop comes alive, you know, this diagonal over here. So he took back, okay, I lost the pawn, but that doesn't matter here, because now the game has opened up and my bishop becomes stronger. Queen g5, threatening checkmate on g2, obvious move of course, a computer never misses something like that. Okay, a bunch of trades, threatening checkmate again, g3, rook e8, and it's kind of interesting to see how, okay, I'm down a pawn here, but it's interesting to see how I managed to actually draw this game, being down a couple of pawns, like here, rook takes, h takes g3 check, takes back with the pawn, and now queen h6, and we can see that black could have some chances, even if it's not that obvious. I mean, first of all, if the king ever moves, then this pawn over here hangs. Maybe someday, maybe not necessarily right now, because if I'd ever take over here, he also has back rank ideas, you know, plus that his queen has this diagonal over here, so that would be a good bad idea, but you know, it's always in there. And my queen also has. I mean, I can just move away my bishop and then come in with my queen over here. So here, move his king away to e2, and now my queen comes in with bishop g2, queen b3, and of course I have to protect my pawn on f8, f7. And here I managed to sort of get into his camp, and the game becomes very difficult for white to make something out of. I mean, it's very difficult now to actually use the advantage that white has. So he just pushed a pawn, and now queen g1, and now it's become very obvious that my queen is just penetrating his king side. Check, king h7. Of course, this would not be very good. That would just allow him another check. So of course, king h7, king d2, and now after queen f2, we can see that. Okay, a couple more moves. Bishop takes f3, queen moves, queen d4, and now queen a2. And there's no way for white to escape all the checks. King c3, queen a3, and just, you know, checks all over the place. And of course, this bishop here over here is very strong. His king can't actually get away anywhere. So the game ended in a draw after 43, king c2. So let's take a quick look at the opening one more time. The opening was, like I said, the Queen's Gambit declined, and this was all book so far. I'll mention that black can also take with the pawn, but I took back with the knight, and that's part of opening theory, I believe. Like I said, although I played b6 very early, but of course all the trades that took place delayed my development with this piece over here. You know, I mentioned that after b6 the black wants to put the bishop on b7, but of course, like I said, all the trades delayed that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I can play bishop b7 anytime. And here a nice trade, b4, and I also like this pawn sacrifice because, I mean, pawns are not that important, plus this pawn over here was just blocking the scope of my bishop anyway, so I happily gave that up, and he took back, and now, you know, we can immediately see that black has more chances in the game. I mean, on his king side. So sometimes it's a good idea to give up pawns just to open up, for example, like I did in this game, the diagonal for the bishop or whatever. And I was also playing a very strong computer engine, so that made it even more interesting for me. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this short clip about a game that I played against Fritz 11 about a month ago, and like I said, my interest is kind of low now, but I'm trying to work on it. I think that every chess player experiences ups and downs, and but priorities and interests change. I mean, like many other things in life. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this, like I said, and see you soon.